Dinner for shoes, please.
Hello, and welcome to an episode of Dinner for Shoes. Wait, I want to say that again without touching my microphone after. Hello, and welcome to an episode of Dinner for Shoes. Did I do that? Well, today's episode I am so excited about because it's on a topic that you would probably not expect to hear on a fashion podcast, but I find the fashion in everything. And so we did. And so the episode centers on Morgan Taylor, who is a voice actor. She's phenomenal. When you hear her voice, you're going to be like, oh my God, that girl needs a podcast, because I could listen to her talk all day. She has a great voice. And I think that's the point of why she's a voice actor. Morgan is actually a family friend of Megan's. She's friends with both Megan and Megan's sister, Haley. And she had all of the best things to say about Megan and Haley, and what Megan says about working with me. I was like, Ariana Grande hair flip, which Ariana Grande was actually part of our conversation. But Morgan is into fashion, and it very much plays into who she is as a voice actor. And we're going to get into all of that. And I'm going to touch on some of the ways in which that happens. But I do want to just quickly apologize for still being a little bit nasal. I have had a cold that has lasted for now probably about 2 to 3 weeks, and the nasalness will not go away. Neither will the phlegm, but that is just for another topic. I want to do the outfit behind the shoes because my outfit today is a nod to a animated character. I wonder if you can guess who it is. Hi, honey. Yes, that's a sign. It says Dinner for Shoes. You've seen it before. You're on set now. Anyway, let's get into the outfit behind the shoes. I will call attention to an animated character who I'm very familiar with, who I grew up with, whose fashion I was always a fan of. And then we'll kind of talk about how that relates to what Morgan does. And we will also talk about some of, in my opinion, the most stylish animated characters that I had the pleasure of growing up with. That kind of honestly, because before I was watching real people shows and movies, I was watching animation, and that kind of shaped my understanding of fashion. And I want to talk about them. I think it's important. And I think this is something that no one talks about often enough, is how fashion can relate to animated characters, and who better to have on than a voice actor, right? All right, so let's get into the outfit behind the shoes. Now, as a clue, the plate, we've actually been through all of the different plates. I bought the new plates, as we all know, and we've been through all the colors already. So I'm bringing back blue. Blue, red, and yellow is the theme of my outfit today, and it is a nod to the character. I don't know when I'm going to reveal it. It's not like you guys are guessing, and I'm like building this up for anything. But these shoes are by Soreli. I really like them. They are the perfect little Pat and Mary Jane flat. I think they really go with everything. I wouldn't necessarily wear them with this VRG Girl set, but I did because it is a nod to my character. And these are great shoes, and I haven't had them on the podcast yet. I will say they are comfortable enough, flexible enough where they don't cause blisters. I am such a fan. I also love the little buckle. It's subtle. It's not in your face. It's great. And then I'm wearing this VRG Girl set, as I said. Now, this is kind of it's a wool set. So today is the first true day of spring. It's actually 80 degrees in March today, which is crazy. 80 degrees on a Saturday, sunny, beautiful out. So very excited to be out and about. But I thought this wool set, since it is short and sleeveless, would be a good foray into the spring and summer season to wear today. And it just so happens to match the animated character. I'm just going to say it, okay? Sailor Moon. She is definitely one of my top 10 most stylish cartoon animated characters ever that I grew up watching. There was nothing like watching Sailor Moon with a bowl of Captain Crunch on a Saturday morning. Absolutely nothing. I still think there's nothing like it. And I'm obsessed with this set because it's got this little sleeveless overlay, right? But then it's on top of a skirt. This is a skirt, not a skirt. So I have to be careful and close my legs today. And I love it. I'm obsessed with it. It's this really pale yellow, beautiful color. It's not in your face yellow like Sailor Moon is, but all of my nods are subtle because I still want to maintain my style and my personal aesthetic. So we are doing that. Now, something else that Sailor Moon has but what did I do with this piece of hair that is literally in my face? Like, this might as well be a microphone. Something else that Sailor Moon incorporates into her look is, and I am going to personify all these characters today because like Morgan is the person who personifies these animated characters, which is sick. So yeah, we're gonna, is bows and hearts. So I wore my heart ring, which I love. And I think this is like the quirkiest little ring that I own. And it's really cute. And I like that it's like this burgundy color. So it's also kind of chic and understated. Just simple hoops, because Sailor Moon actually does wear like simple hoops, I believe. And then on this necklace, which may be more like Jasmine, this pendant kind of reminds me of Jasmine's earrings, I'll say, like the shape of it. It's like the teardrop little pendant. This is from 8 Other Reasons, but it was another way for me to kind of like bring blue into the look. And I think that it's just cool. It kind of emphasizes the neckline here, this nice little drop. I am so comfortable in this outfit. Who isn't comfortable in flats, right, Trish? Who isn't comfortable in flats? My love, my love. Me and Trish are working on Kissy, actually, where she knows the word Kissy now. She's just so stubborn that she'll only give it to me when, you know, she wants to. I would love to get it on camera. We'll see if we can do that later, but just like Kissy, Kissy, Kissy. So we're getting there. Now, okay, so Sailor Moon is one of my top 10 most stylish animated characters. Morgan got into this career. She actually started in radio, hated her job. She started when she was like 17 years old, really was having a crappy time in radio. Someone introduced her to voice acting gigs online. She started to make some money, and she talks in our interview all about how she built her business and has turned it into a very impressive business. And she loves the way she works now because she's got all of these gigs that she can work on from wherever she is in the world. Pretty much everything in her career is virtual. As time has gone on and she has proven herself and she has enhanced her voice and worked on herself professionally, she's also bought some really cool gear, some technology, all things to make her little at-home soundproof studio space amazing. And she actually took the interview from her studio, so you're going to get to see into what she has created for herself and where she becomes all of these different characters. Now, the character that she's going to talk about in the interview a lot, I'm going to intro you to, is she does video games. So this is a video game character named Sloan, and it's for the Goosebumps video game. And she is so excited about Sloan. I actually feel like Morgan has like a look to her where she could look like a Sloan. But she's going to tell us everything about what goes into voice acting, how like when she's doing an audition, the audition sheet might literally say like, we want a little bit of ScarJo and Emma Stone. And she can really give that. And you'll hear that in just a second in her voice. But Morgan likes to get into character. She likes to dress up like her character. She likes to apply her beauty look to the character that she's becoming because it helps her slip into her role. Now, on top of that, she also has a lot of friends in the business. So she often goes to award shows. She's on red carpets. She's pulling looks for herself. So we talk a little bit about some of her favorite styles. She really loves to thrift. We love a girl who loves to thrift. She likes like silk gowns. She loves Rent the Runway, Newly. So we're going to talk about all of that and all of the behind the scenes fashion stuff that you don't get to see when it comes to a voice actor. Morgan's amazing. So I want you to take a listen to our interview. And then when we get back, I'll talk about, you know, Sailor Moon is one of them, but the most stylish animated characters that I grew up with, in my opinion. And we'll try Morgan's favorite meal. So go take a listen and learn all about voice acting and how fashion plays into it.
So I did radio for 10 years since I was like 18, really. Really, I was 16 when I got into the industry, but then I started hosting my own show at like 18, 19. I was a night show host and then did morning radio. And I had like a co-host. So I did that and did that all the way through getting married, moved out to El Paso, Texas from Columbus, Georgia, and still did that. Voice acting was never like in my mind. I didn't really know a lot about the industry. I really thought radio was going to be it. But when I went to my second job in the industry, in the radio industry, it was a very toxic environment. Okay. It was bad. I was way underpaid. I was getting bullied at work, and I was working like 5 different positions, making $28,000 a year. Like, it was so bad.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was talking to like my old mentor from my hometown, who kind of like was just my saving grace through my first 10 years of my job. In my hometown. And he was like, I've done voice acting on these websites like Voice 123, which is a pay to play. So you pay a membership to get auditions.
Okay.
He's like, you should give it a try. And I was like, yeah, like it could make a couple $100 maybe. So like I hopped on the pay to play Voice 123, and like my first day I got a job. It was like an internal Microsoft gig for like $100. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And then by my like second month of doing this, maybe third of just auditioning on Voice 123, I was making more than my full-time job.
Wow.
Yeah. So a few months into doing that, I was crying every day at work, which if you're crying at work, probably not the best job for you. And in hindsight, now I know I'm in my 30s and I'm like, why did I tolerate that for so long? Anyways, so I just kind of maybe a little too impulsively quit and sucked it up for 2 weeks, finished out my radio career in Las Cruces, New Mexico, and then have been doing voice acting full time ever since for the last 2.5 years.
Wow.
So yeah, it was kind of like trusting the process, taking a leap, and it's worked out. I mean, yeah. Now I'm doing it full time, and it's the best job ever. So much freedom. I never had freedom for 10 years. I missed out on so much of my life in my early 20s. Late 20s. It
sounds like it from the job. Yeah. I mean, that is actually crazy, but it sounds like when you had a good feeling about it. The leap was a risk, obviously, but now you're very happy. So
yes.
Great.
And I'm making more money than I ever thought I could. I was able to pay off my student loans. I have a retirement account that has more money in it than I ever thought. I'm the breadwinner in my household, and I've built my business from 0 to a multi-6-figure business. So I can't complain.
Hell yes. Yeah. So now that you're really into it, tell us about some of your favorite roles ever. Do you have any favorite characters that you have voiced? Any characters that like you wish you voiced that you kind of have always looked at as like inspiration?
Yeah, so I just booked something with my agent out of New York, and I don't have an NDA signed, so I can say it. I am going to be playing this character called Sloane in this upcoming Goosebumps video game. So remember Goosebumps, like the franchise. Yeah. And she is just really cool. She's a teenager, and I just finished sessions last week. It was like 7 hours of sessions with the studio Sony and the gaming studio and the casting people. And it was just really challenging, and it's got a storyline to it. So I was able, it's screaming, it's crying, it's fighting, it's being vulnerable. And she's been my favorite character so far. I've also done Ark Survival Ascended, which was another video game. And I wasn't actually like a specific character. It's more like you select a voice for your character build. And I'm one of the voices, and it's all efforts as in like, getting hit or just non-vocal or there's no words, right? Yeah. It's just like you're getting hit, you're dying, you're doing this. And that was really fun and challenging because like 1 minute you're burning alive. So I had to like die like I'm burning alive. One time, like a baby was coming out of me and eating my inside. It's just crazy. Any way you think you could die, I did it. So characters that I want to voice one day, like network animation, being a part of a show like that, whatever that looks like would be amazing. I've always loved the character Ellie from The Last of Us. I would love to voice a character like that one day. And Sloane is kind of similar to her. She's just a little more quirky. It's a little more of a lighthearted video game than The Last of Us, but yeah. I love the character Sloane, though. She's been my favorite so far.
The video game thing must be cool, too, because it's almost like the person who's playing can affect what your character does. It's different than like a script, I would imagine.
Yeah, like this game, there's 2 outcomes to the ending. And we recorded both, like a good ending and a bad ending. And that's really cool. Yeah. Like it can go either way because you're choosing some of the ways the story develops. That's how this game works. And there's a lot of games that are like that, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's incredible. So, okay, Tell us what it's like when you do have an audition for one of these roles, whether it is for like a video game or for a movie or for a show, whatever. And how might that differ than what an audition is like for an in-person acting role?
Yeah. So everything is like virtual. All my auditions through my agent, it's just like an email. For Goosebumps, this was like early January. And like gaming and animation can take a long time to cast and come to fruition.
Mm-hmm.
Like this game isn't even going to be launched until I think close to Halloween. And some games take years. Like you'll be doing sessions for like 2-3 years. But this one kind of moved along quickly. So normally you get like 3 or 4 lines and like a brief character description. Sometimes you don't get any of that. And it's just lines and it's up to your interpretation. And you just kind of go for it. With Sloan, I just didn't really try that hard. And I think that helped. And early on in my career, I was really trying hard and putting on voices and really even character work it shouldn't be that forced. You know what I mean? Like a Sloan is very similar to my natural voice print. So like I sent in the audition and then a month later, almost, it was, oh, you're shortlisted for this. And then now 2.5 weeks later, I finally got booked. So it was like almost 2 months in the process of like from the audition being in my inbox to getting hired for it. And the same with animation. Like I remember one time I was auditioning to be a voice match for this DreamWorks show. And that took like 2 months. And I didn't book it, but it was like a month from getting it, 2 months, another month before I was told, oh, you're shortlisted for this. Can we have headshots? With on camera, I haven't done any on camera work. I like being just a voice actor. Mm-hmm. I don't know the timelines for that, but I mean, some of my friends who do it, it's probably a similar timeline. It could take a month. It could take a couple weeks. It could be a week. And it's the same with the jobs that I do now. Like sometimes you're getting cast the next day, the day of. I've gotten cast for when I send an audition for a commercial. It just depends on the project.
Yes.
But sometimes it's like a couple weeks. Yeah.
Wow. That's actually, it's probably very exciting when it happens quickly and you weren't expecting it to happen so quickly.
Exactly. Yes. And you're like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah. Money, cha-ching. Okay, so since we're a fashion podcast, I want to talk to you a little bit about fashion. And I've scrolled through your Instagram and I can tell like you like to put an outfit together, like you like fashion. So do you feel like you need to kind of get into your character when you are voice acting? Have you ever done that? Have you ever worn something that kind of reminds you of the character? Like tell us what that process is like for you.
Yeah, I was doing this kids animated show thing that was more, if you're an educator, you've heard of it. It's like the Go Noodle franchise.
Okay.
Yeah, and her name was Nova, and she's like this science geek, and she's like a star, and she has pigtails. And so when I did that session, I put in pigtails because like she's supposed to be very young, and it's like a young audience, you know, like elementary school kids. And with Sloan, like I wore my glasses because she has glasses in her character rendering. With other stuff, if I book the role, any like big character, I do try to bring some element into my wardrobe. But since it is in a studio, I'm not going all the way out. Like I'm in my home studio, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm not doing anything crazy. And when you're working on a big game, you know, motion capture can be involved was when you're in like the black suit and the dots and they're hitting your face and stuff. So you don't really have that freedom to do that. But I would try to find ways because like wearing my glasses during Sloan's and putting it lower on my nose helped me like with Sloan, you know, because she's like very smart. And then wearing the pigtails got me into that more youthful thing. And I probably looked crazy in the session.
No, but you were in character. I think like they'd rather you look crazy, but get the voice and do your job, right?
You got to stay consistent with it. But I've definitely done it. I don't know if other voice actors do that. I think some people do.
I love it. I definitely would if I was a voice actor. I think that's brilliant. And what about like when you are going to industry events or you have like an award show, what goes into you choosing your looks? Do you kind of style yourself? Where's your inspiration come from?
I really just love simplicity a lot. I'm trying to like experiment more with stuff. I really love renting the dresses. Like I go to and support friends at some of the award shows, Rent the Runway or Newly. Like the last couple conferences that have like these award shows for voiceover, I've done like Rent the Runway.
Yeah.
And I always just love silky gowns that are just like a simple silhouette. They're just flattering on me. So I always just keep it simple and classy. I'm kind of basic when it comes to my former wear. I do want to play with structure. Like, I loved what Cynthia is it Erivo?
Yeah.
Has been doing lately at like all the award shows, and what Ariana Grande's Oscar look looks like. I wish I would be that bold one day.
Yeah.
I don't know if Rent the Runway has those, that structured of looks, but
I know.
I love stuff like that I've been seeing lately.
Yeah.
Like, not to get super high fashion, but the Schiaparelli, is it Schiaparelli?
Yep, Schiaparelli, yeah.
Their stuff lately has been so cool. If money was no option, I would wear that whole collection that I've been seeing on my like TikTok, what they've been doing lately. It looks so good.
100%. They've been like just working in some like metal breastplates and like all of their hardware. It's amazing. And I love the avant-garde shapes that you're referencing to with like Cynthia and Ariana. Like they just come out like kind of looking like boxy and just really cool. Like they're works of art.
But accentuating the right style. And I love gold. That's why I love Schiaparelli. Like, it's always gold accents. You'll never catch me in silver, really.
Yeah.
I do a little bit of mixed metals, like on my rings, but like I love gold.
Same.
Gold is so good.
Same.
All the time.
I'm such a gold jewelry person. I try with the silver, but like I always go back to gold. Do you feel like voice actors are often like behind the scenes because of this? Because they aren't, in person acting on the big screen. And do you feel like there should be more visibility when it comes to them in fashion and media?
Yeah, I think a lot of voice actors come from like the theater and on camera world. And a lot of your favorite actors have done a lot of voice acting roles. That's like a whole nother conversation of celebrities diluting our industry and like us hardly getting a shot now at these big animation roles because they're just hiring an A-list celebrity to do it, which not all A-list celebrities are good at voice acting. There are very few. It's such a different art form. And it's such a skill because you have such limited ways to work around it. But no, I don't think you need to be seen in terms of like build your social following. I don't like that concept in terms of like, let's hire the actor that has the most followers, right?
Right.
No, hire the actor that's the best. But I do think like the conferences and the award shows that they have within the industry, like the SOVAs, which is kind of like the Oscars of voice acting awards. It's important for those things to exist because we forget that there's a whole nother industry outside of our booths, and it's nice to see other people who are in the industry and people get recognized for it. And I know a lot of people who are creative with the way they style. My friend Jenna Pinchbeck has such a unique style. My friend Elena Wiss, she's very like princessy, and we all have these different styles, and it's cool to see and connect with each other and see the different ways we represent ourselves, like online and in person. But I do think it's important for us to get seen because I hope the industry finds like, oh, we have more options than just hiring X A-list actor for this animated film. There's so much more talent undiscovered out there that you haven't heard of yet,
Yeah, absolutely. And I can totally understand what you're saying where like not all A-list actors could be good voice actors. It is totally a different art. And like
it is.
The creativity that you probably have to bring to it is so much more creative than like what a normal actor would be doing because you really do have to like work around it, understand your character and figure out how like little changes in your voice can, apply to that character and enhance that character. Yeah. So it's incredible what you do.
Like I was in my session for Sloan recently and my director was so great. She was a woman, Gillian. And there was this one part where Sloan is falling and there's a difference between, I can do like a vocal effort that's like, but it's like, no, how far are you falling?
Yeah.
And are you getting impact? That's a totally different fall.
Yeah.
Are you falling 5 feet? Are you falling 30 feet? Are you landing on your legs? Or your feet? Are you landing on your back? Like, and your average actor who maybe has never been in a booth wouldn't know that if they're not physically doing it. But I know, how long am I falling? 5 feet is a different fall between a foot or just leaping. You know what I mean? So there's little things like that. There's a different effort if you're getting punched in the gut or if I'm getting punched in the face.
Of course.
That's going to sound different. Or if I'm delivering the punch. And I don't know, some actors probably just think, I'm just going to read these lines and phone it in. And it's not, it's so different.
Right.
You know?
And you've probably learned so much through the years too. Like with every role, you probably learn more about that and how to kind of like really ask yourself those questions before like you produce what the sound is. It's incredible.
Absolutely. If I was doing this 2 years ago, I would have been one of those like just not realizing, there's different sounds for different impacts. I wouldn't have known.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm glad I booked it now, because I'm a much more prepared actor for it.
Yeah. Well, these things
way in over my head.
These things happen at the right time. Like they really do. And okay, so let's talk a little bit about women in voice acting specifically, because obviously women have given voices to some very iconic characters who have literally been referenced time and time again. Are there any, I know you kind of were talking about this earlier, but are there any characters and the voices behind those characters that inspire you, that you like look to for inspiration?
I think someone like Tara Strong, if you're not naming her, like what she's done, you know, she was the voice of Timmy Turner, Bubbles, and the Powerpuff Girls, Timmy Turner from the Fairly Odd Parents. Like the longevity she's had with all of those characters is just incredible. That's what like any person would dream of. Like series regular, someone 20 years from the show's air date can be like, yep, I remember Timmy Turner. Stuff like that is just so inspiring, and to see how long she's been doing it in the industry, and she's still able to go into that Timmy Turner voice, and she's in her 50s now. Like that's so cool. Debbie Barry she did Jimmy Neutron's voice, and I don't know how old she is, but she's been doing this so long, like decades, and I just love seeing women like have such longevities. There's also like a commercial actor, and I know she does anime, Debbie Mae West. When I think of the career I want, she's done a little bit of everything. If you're ever on an American Airlines flight, she is the voice that like is greeting you through like, welcome aboard.
Oh, cool.
She was the voice of the Olympics this past year.
Wow.
Or last year, and she's done anime. I think she's in the Naruto like series too, and she's just done a little bit of everything, and she's like in Hawaii just living her best life. We're repped by the same agent in LA, DPN Talent, and anytime I'm talking to my agent, I'm like, I just want to be Debbie Mae West, because she's like done it all, you know. But that's taken decades. Like in terms of my career, I'm still so early on and so new, but those are the type of women. I think women have I think women are way more diverse in this industry with voice acting than men are. I think we're able to do so much more. Yeah. And, you know, whether it's promo, whether it's doing a little boy's voice, like whether it's doing a little girl's voice, like it's so cool to see. I think women dominate in a way in terms of versatility. But I'm biased. I'm a woman.
Yeah.
I love women.
Yep.
Those are just a few.
Yeah. But I mean, even when you were just describing like all of Debbie Mae West's like roles or voices that she's done, it's so expansive. Different. Yeah. That's really
like doing
crazy.
The Olympics and then doing like welcome aboard American Airlines, and then voicing a boy, a young, like a boy character in Naruto. And then she's done other roles of like women warriors. And I'm like, that's so cool. Like so look at everything.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that is really, really incredible. So we'll stay on the topic of women, since you kind of just, you know, made that connection there. But you have called the women in your family. Obviously, they have inspired you. They've shaped you. Do you want to talk sort of a little bit about the way that they've influenced you throughout your life and inspired you in this career path specifically?
I would say my family is like definitely the backbone of my family has always been women. Like my Aunt Jo, my Aunt Mel, my Aunt Cher, my cousin Nikki, my cousin Carson, they are like the glue. And I love that they kind of fill this patriarchal and matriarchal role simultaneously. But they were like hesitant. I remember when I first went, because my mom died when I was 20 and my dad died when I was 17. So like my aunts and uncles really helped like kind of raise me and take care of me after that. Even though I was like an adult, I still was still very young, you know, like 19, 20 by the time I lost them both. So they were always there. And they always, even before that, were kind of the glue to like the whole extended family, keeping everyone together. But when I was like shifting out of radio, you know, there was hesitancy and nervousness, but they really trusted me. And they've always been supporters of the arts, which you wouldn't think that, because they all come from such academic backgrounds. Like my Aunt Jo was a veterinarian, and my Aunt Mel was a corporate executive, and my cousin Carson's a doctor. Her siblings are both engineers. They all have doctorates, and they're all so intelligent. They've never themselves, explored the arts in a creative way, but they were always so excited for me and encouraging because they knew that was my thing. They were always so encouraging of like pursuing what you're good at. And it's really cool to see the diversity. Like we have educators, we have physicians in our family. We now have, an actor. My husband's in the Army. Like it's really cool, but they've always been so supportive and the first to like want to hear about everything and share everything, especially my Aunt Jo and my Aunt Mel. They're just like anything that I think about when it comes to being a mom, a parent, a human being. They're like the strongest people I know and the smartest. And it's all women. Women in my family truly have always just been on this pedestal I can't really articulate. The men are great too, but the women especially. Like my dad was a phenomenal father. And he even filled probably more of a matriarchal role even than my mom, because their roles were kind of reversed. Like my mom worked a little more. My dad was disabled. My dad was more of the cook. My mom cleaned the house. So like there's never been these like gender norms in terms of who's supposed to be responsible for what, me growing up. You know what I mean? The women have always kind of took more control and been a little more alpha in the decision makers.
But I love that for you. Yeah. And I think it shaped you into the person you are. And you have all this, like you have this really good point of view and perspective on life because of that.
Yeah. I've always felt like I could do anything and they would have support. They were just nervous, like switching a career kind of out of nowhere into working for yourself is very scary. I'm sure you know that. Like,
yeah, of course. And like everyone
isn't determined.
Right, of course. And like I feel like so many people, no matter what you do in your career, you do get to that point at some point, whether you're being laid off or you're taking this leap and you're just making this complete shift. And it is scary. And like if you don't have the backbone, especially like of women having that support where they've always showed you like you can do it, go be a go-getter, then it's really scary.
Yeah. Not having your next paycheck, like confirmed, it's always kind of up in the air every time the new month starts. I start at zero. Like I started zero for the month with my monthly income and then it builds every day, but it's always starts at zero. And you're just looking at that spreadsheet like, okay, what's coming through?
Yeah. And like feeling like you have to hustle until that number looks a little bit more comfortable. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, okay. On that note, that's actually a great lead into my next question, which is what would be a piece of advice that you have to someone who is looking to get into this industry?
Don't feel like you have to have it all figured out. Like a lot of people, I think, feel like they have to have their website and their demo and their equipment and the perfect booth. And this industry can get very, very expensive in the beginning. I was lucky that I had a lot of things like baseline because of my career in radio. Like I already had a microphone. I already had some equipment. I had some software. Get really good. Like get really good really fast. If you're going to invest any money, get your equipment if you don't have it. Doesn't have to be $1,000 microphone like what I'm on now. I started off on a $300 microphone. That was not a voiceover mic. A Shure SM7B, did just fine on that. I started in a closet and then I built a little booth. But I found a coach immediately that really helped me find my voice as an actor instead of being a radio personality. And be careful how much you absorb yourself in the networking of it, because I think a lot of actors get lost in the networking aspect of it and forget to be actors.
Yeah.
And I don't want to network my way to the top. I'd rather perform my way there and just be the best in the room because it's done wonders for me now. I think people think $1,000 microphone or the fanciest studio or going to all these conferences is going to like elevate them when really just being really freaking good is going to do more for you than the fanciest equipment or the fanciest conference adventure. Like they're important in their own ways, but I just found like taking it step by step, focusing on getting really good and getting booked made the difference. Because the microphone's not going to get you booked. The fancy equipment's not gonna. Getting a good coach and becoming a really good actor is. So always be an actor first. But the business side comes second. Because when you're a good actor, the other stuff doesn't really matter. It all just kind of falls into place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And take the like building of your brand step by step. Like people think they need a website right out the gate or a professionally produced demo. And that's like so expensive. It's like, no, get booked, get good. The rest will happen. You know what I mean?
Yep. I think that's like any industry. Like we're all like, we want to have it all laid out there so that it looks super professional, but like without the practice, without the time commitment to actually get good, it's like, who cares what it looks like? You have to actually like fulfill what you're making it look like, you know?
I was making $8,000 a month, like without even having a website or an agent or a demo. I was just booking and figuring it out. And then I got my website going, and then I seeked representation, and then I got a fancy demo, and then I got an LA agent. And then it was like, I took it step by step.
Yeah.
And some people are very type A and feel like they have to have it all figured out. But it's like, okay, if you got the money for it, go. I didn't. Like I was coming off a $28,000 a year salary. I had no money. So my husband helped me sometimes, but like it was truly taking it day by day. When I made back what I put in, I kept going.
Yeah. And I think that that's a good point too, just that there isn't like an order that all of these things have to happen, right? Like, you know, I think that that's a very good point. The last few questions I have for you are kind of like fun questions. Yeah. So the first one is if you could trade voices with any celebrity or voice actor, because I know you've named some pretty iconic voice actors, who would it be and why?
Okay. Whose voice am I obsessed with? I really, you know what? I would do Scarlett Johansson because she's on every damn speck of an audition that I get.
Really?
It's Emma Stone or Scarlett Johansson. It's like, we want the vibe of Scarlett or Emma Stone. Okay. Which I book a lot of those because I have a little bit of raspiness in my delivery sometimes.
Yeah, I can hear it.
If I just sounded like Scarlett, it would be a shoo-in. I also love Jenny Slate's voice. I think it's so unique. And it stands out. Natasha Lyonne.
Yeah.
She's probably even my favorite. Those are like the people I always see as references. So I'm like, if I just sounded like them, I'd book all these jobs.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have to pay me the celebrity rate. They just pay me the normal SAG rate. But no, I love their voices.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like,
It's so interesting. So like when you are going to book or, you know, like you're trying out for a role, they will reference like celebrities that everyone knows. Okay.
So they'll be like, for this spot, a good reference would be a Scarlett Johansson, Emma Stone vibe.
Okay.
And really that to me is like, okay, they want a little bit of raspiness, a little bit of like, you know, a little younger. If they're saying Jenny Slate, I think a little charactery. She just has this natural like character aspect, not like super done. You know, Natasha Lyonne, they really want that like grovelly-ness. And like I do book a lot of those that like do the Emma Stone and the ScarJo references, but yeah, you'll see references for celebs.
That's really
lot
cool.
of the time. I'm sure men see like Morgan Freeman, John Hamm,
right.
Like stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Very interesting. So I guess this is kind of a skill, like understanding what that means and how to apply it to your voice. But are there any other skills that you picked up along the way? Like you did reference like, knowing how far you're falling and then what to do to your voice. Are there any fun little like quirks that maybe your voice has that other people don't?
Yeah. I think I'm really good at sounding just the right amount of like, not polished, but like, oh yeah, that's like, that person knows what they're talking about, but there's a little bit of character to my voice sometimes and a lot of like natural brightness and youthfulness. I think I'm really good at like doing improv within some of my reads, which people seem to like sometimes, like adding just little things that are like human. But I think the biggest thing I learned was like just being authentic and like finding your voice in the industry, you know?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I see those references all the time from ScarJo, but I at first used to get so disheartened, like, well, why don't they just hire ScarJo? It's great, you know? But I'm like, no, add you to it.
Yeah.
You know, if they wanted to hire Scarlett Johansson, I'm
sure
they have the budget somewhere. They could add your self to it and like finding your authentic self in every read and adding the things that make it stand out, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's been like the most helpful skill is just like finding ways to add me into every single audition.
Yeah.
That's when I start booking the most.
Yeah.
It's so corny, but it's so true. You can't come in and be like, I'm going to sound like XYZ. You know what I mean? It's got to be like, I'm going to sound like me and add my isms to it.
Absolutely. Hold on to yourself and like bring that to all the different characters that you do. Yeah. I think that's great advice.
everyone's going to start that audition trying to sound like Scarlett Johansson. So make that casting director's ears perk up.
Right.
Do something different.
Yeah. Like who's the one that doesn't try to sound exactly like her, but like takes that note and then brings their own. Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what have been, you've talked about how you built up this career. Obviously, it was a leap, like you said. What have been some of your biggest pinch me moments and what are you excited for to come? I know you have the Goosebumps role, but is there anything else?
So my biggest pinch me moments are probably anytime I'm on vacation and I'm either bringing my equipment and I'm like working in maybe a closet studio that I've converted, you know, with mattresses and blankets. And I'm booking and earning income while on vacation.
Yeah.
Like, it's just true freedom. What I've built, like, I was in LA for a week and I made a couple $1,000s just chilling, doing some auditions every now and then. And then I'm going to England on Wednesday and like, I would maybe, like when I was in radio, have like a week off a year.
Wow.
And not even, and I'd have to break it up into 3 small little trips because I didn't want to just take 1 week off, you know, and the pinch me moments are just experiencing the freedom the industry has given me, being able to do this literally from anywhere. I mean, I have a friend who's in Thailand full time and is a 6-figure earning talent and is doing it in Thailand and then we'll be in Japan for a month. And having that freedom is just, anytime I'm doing that, like I was thinking about being able to take off a week and go to England and I'm not working. It's the first time I've done a vacation in 2.5 years where I'm not bringing my equipment. I'm booked out. I'm like, I cannot do anything. But those are the pinch me moments, just the freedom.
Yeah.
And that's corny, but that's really, it hasn't been like a certain role. Every booking I get is kind of pinch me, especially at the bigger ones. Like that's always a really cool moment, but it's the freedom.
Yeah,
for sure.
No, it's not corny at all. It's actually surprising because when you think pinch me moments, I think everyone would expect like, oh, when I was on this red carpet or when I went to this premiere. So, but it's actually truthful. It's honest. So I love that.
It's freedom for sure.
Yeah.
That's the best thing about it.
Yeah. And then do you want to tease anything else that we can expect to see from you?
I mean, the Goosebumps thing is like the biggest right now. I have a couple video games that are kind of on pause that like We Stay Behind is one, and that should pick up soon, hopefully. But nothing really right now.
Yeah.
I'm auditioning every day, still going. Goosebumps is the big title that I have coming out, but that's kind of it right now. Some commercials I'm like standby for right now, but I don't like talking about those because I jinx them. So I know that's going to happen.
Well, like you said, in this industry, things can happen quickly and unexpectedly.
Yeah. I literally thought I booked something and then last minute, they went into a different direction. I just had that. I had a SAG job that I thought I was booked for, saw the email where the client said they wanted me. My agent called me and said, oh, the CEO heard you, doesn't like you, so they're going for someone internal. It happens. It happens.
Yeah.
So get your hopes up about nothing until that check clears.
Yeah.
Very well could not happen. October could come around and they could recast me. I really hope not. I have a feeling we're okay, but it could.
Good. Well, thank you for being honest about your career because it's so like refreshing to hear the complete honesty there. And congrats on what you've built because it really is so impressive and inspiring as a woman.
Thank you.
Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the interview with Morgan. Isn't she just so amazing and so awesome? She loves women. She's a girl's girl. I love that about her. She's stylish too. She's cute. She's quirky. She's fun. She can be literally any character. Now, I went ahead and took the liberty of gathering my favorite animated characters that I grew up with, and one of them is Sailor Moon. I'm not wearing red thigh-high boots today. I guess they're knee-high boots. But she is incredible. I always loved her color combination, her color palette. I actually wrote a story once about this incredible Gucci runway look that reminded me of Sailor Moon because that was the stuff that I used to create on oldpopsugar.com. Because I just always, I think, like I said before, these characters were my first example of fashion when I was little. I was younger and I was watching these shows with a bowl of Captain Crunch. I actually had this is weird, but I had like specific cereals I had to eat when I was watching certain things. I do have OCD. But Sailor Moon was Captain Crunch, and then Grease was Frosted Mini Wheats without milk. Let's not get into that. Grease is not animated, Sarah. Okay, so, but making an animated Grease, that could be something interesting. Nick told me last night about Johnny Knoxville. Babe, what was it? What was that cartoon you told me about? Johnny Knoxville? Johnny Bravo, whose outfit kind of looks like it should be in Grease. So maybe they should make an animated Grease. Okay, so Sailor Moon is very much one of them for me, probably my earliest. Now, the one that comes to mind immediately, though, is Debbie from Eliza Thornberry. Debbie was so hot. I still to this day love long, wavy hair like that. She wore a crop top. She wore baggy jeans. She was way ahead of her time with just like this cool flannel. She was so whatever. She had the black manicure. That was the epitome of fashion for me. And I was always like, Eliza, like Debbie is where it's at, you know? And I loved her voice too. So I don't know who her voice actor was, but Morgan probably does, and we should ask. So she's definitely one of my favorites. My mom reminded me of this one, but Roxanne from A Goofy Movie. Was obsessed with her. My family friend Mary actually was her for Halloween, and I was like, oh my God, I want to be wearing that. I just loved how she wore like her cutoffs rolled up. She wore really chic white flats. She wore this like teal t-shirt that was fitted, and then like the purple earrings. Her color combination was really great. And even Nick last night was like, everyone thought Roxanne was hot. I'm also so happy that Nick has seen A Goofy Movie, because I don't think I could be in a relationship with someone who hasn't seen A Goofy Movie. Okay, another one, and this one came recommended by my sister actually, but she was the Scooby-Doo fan in our family. Like, I'm sure that if you have a sibling, you too had like specific siblings that watched specific TV shows and specific movies. Like, one was very Disney, one was very like Cartoon Network. Well, my sister was the Scooby-Doo fan. I don't think she like wanted to look like Daphne, but I personally love, again, Daphne's color palette. This Daphne looks like what the women look like on Mad Men, which to me is like the epitome of 60s chic. So I am obsessed. Yeah, I loved her headband as well. I liked that it was a slightly lighter shade of purple, but then that purple kind of matched like the stripes on her dress. She has the green scarf going on, these really interesting like purple, almost like paper plane style square toe boots. What would those look like today? What would those look like if they were a shoe on my plate? Oh my God. Who even knows? Now, I had to throw Ariel into the mix because I pronounce Ariel, and Ariel is how King Triton pronounces it. Ariel. So The Little Mermaid, she is my favorite animated character ever. Growing up, I just absolutely loved her. I now realize what that's done to me with relationships, since Ariel had the absolute worst idea of what we should do and risk for a man. But that's okay. I thought she was pretty and I liked her. And my favorite outfit that she wore was the blue dress that she wore when she had no voice, which is kind of ironic because I have such a loud voice. And I loved the bow. It was oversized. It was taking over the world. Again, very timely, very now. Are all of these trends and references coming from animated characters? It seems like it. But I also just really loved how she had this like corseted section of that dress. The bodice was over these like longer sleeves. They were a contrast color. I thought that was really cool. I also loved that you could see like the trim of her slip underneath her blue skirt when she was like flouncing around without words. Yeah. Also, Rocket Power. This was Reggie from Rocket Power. Her outfit might be like number 2 on this list for me of looks I would actually wear. I love the spaceship. I also like Nick is super into space and into aliens. So now I like have little, like I've worn them before, but like little spaceship earrings. I love the spaceship symbol. So I just love that t-shirt, that magenta t-shirt. So cool. She wore the baggy camo skater pants, which like remind me of plenty of pants that I own. And then red sunglasses. And I have a pair of sunglasses by Miu Miu that look exactly like that. So Reggie was where it's at. And of course her purple hair just like made it, you know, like made her iconic. And speaking of hair, let's go with Marge Simpson next. Now, I know that when you look at Marge Simpson, like you see her hair and that is like the first thing that you see, but look down, I encourage you, and look at this beautiful key lime strapless tube dress, okay? Look at that. It is a midi dress. It is beautiful. She's wearing it with orange heels and orange pearls. Like, there is no outfit that looks better when your hair is that color. I mean, I just think that she nailed this. When I was looking through my closet and trying to figure out like which of these animated characters I wanted to kind of like pay ode to for the episode, I was trying to create an outfit around Marge's, but I realized that I don't have a green tube dress, unfortunately. Wendy from Peter Pan. Obviously you knew a lot of Disney characters were going to come up here. Wendy has this like very feminine Audrey Hepburn look to me. She has a much smaller bow than Ariel wears or than like Sailor Moon has all over her outfit. But I really like how she's got poof sleeves going on. It's just this really flattering blue nightgown style dress. This is the ultimate nap dress. Like Wendy did the nap dress before anyone did the nap dress, right? And then she's got on these like chic, slightly darker blue flats. I couldn't get that word out. Flats start with a B now, that match like the belt on her dress. And it's just, I want to call it a ribbon, not a belt. It's just so beautiful. I would sleep in that, but I also would look cute in that, right? Like that's how you feel when you're young. And then on top of that, I just want to quickly go into this little foray of we called it the Christmas house, a house that decorated for Christmas, and they had all of these Disney characters and their decorations were extreme. Like whatever you're imagining, imagine it like 10 times crazier. Like you actually feel like you're in Disney World. And they had a lot of Disney characters, and I always wanted to reach out and touch all of the characters' dresses. Well, when I ride the Peter Pan ride in Disney, I always wanted to reach out and touch Wendy's dress. There was just something about it. And I think that just goes to show you how obsessed with fashion I was at a young age. Now, finally, and this might be an obscure character that you don't know, but if you don't know, I highly recommend you watch it, Fern Gully. This girl's name is Krista, which I had to familiarize myself with last night. Now, Krista, it's actually Krista, Crysta, like it's missing the L because it's not like Krista with a K, which is so badass. And I really just love, she's barefoot. I would love to be barefoot. It's kind of like the Fern Gully Fairy version of Free the Nipple, but also she's freeing the nipple in her little cute like crop top set. And I love a co-word set, hence what I'm wearing now. So I guess my co-word set also kind of pays ode to Krista from Fern Gully. And I like that it's orange and just cool. And then finally, how could I forget? I wanted Megan to tell me, Megan's our producer. Megan is awesome. Megan's also friends with Morgan. So I was like, tell me who in your mind had the best fashion out of all the animated characters you grew up watching, and hers was Monique from Kim Possible. I was not a Kim Possible person, and I know a lot of you are going to be like, why is Kim Possible not on this list? I looked at her outfit again last night, and I just wanted to be honest. I feel like that's more of a costume. People dress up as Kim Possible for Halloween every single year. It doesn't scream fashion to me. It screams like I'm on a mission. But Monique screams fashion to me. Megan was showing me all of her different outfits last night, and I am obsessed. First of all, she always wears an earring in this shape, like the teardrop shape, all different colors to kind of like contrast with her look in this bold way where she knew what monochrome dressing and like color combinations were before any of us did. Megan's favorite outfit that she ever wore was this pair of gray overalls with chic black flats over a 3/4 sleeve blue top. It's tight, and she's wearing these turquoise earrings. Perfect. We love it. These are the women girl characters that shaped fashion for me when I was watching animated shit. Okay, let me quickly go get Morgan's favorite meal, sushi, and I'm going to talk about how the fact that it's from Okinawa, which is the exact same place we ordered from last episode, kind of speaks to me watching my favorite fashionable animated characters when I was younger. So give me a sec. So I did order sushi from Okinawa, but let me like tell you why, because I really like to switch it up a lot. And oh my God, there's a little doily in here that reminds me of the trim on the inside of Ariel's blue dress. All right. I like to switch it up. I want to support as many local businesses as possible in Hoboken, but Nick and I just happened to be ordering sushi from Okinawa yesterday, and I was like, oh, you know what? Morgan's favorite meal is sushi and dumplings. Let me just get the food from there now. One fell swoop, probably saved some money with that. And finally, I can show you how Okinawa gives literally a pint of ginger dressing when you ask for ginger dressing on the side, but they separate it into a third of a pint. They separate it into a third of a pint. This container is a third of a pint. It must be because they give you 3 of them. And I like to dip my sushi into ginger dressing. And now I'm finally going to show you how I do that. Not that you couldn't imagine it, because I don't think that's hard to imagine. Okay. So I also got dumplings. These are pan-fried veggie dumplings. Girls, don't you want some nummy? Now, I will say Morgan didn't specify what type of dumplings she likes, like whether she likes them fried or steamed or whatever. These looked really good to me. They're veggie dumplings. Normally, we get pork dumplings, so I wanted to switch it up. And I got a California roll. Forgot to talk about that. Okay. I got a California roll because California, like Hollywood, the land of acting, we talked so much about that in the interview. And we talked about celebrities. We talked about Schiaparelli. We talked about Ariana Grande, Cynthia Erivo, Hollywood, LA, California, whatever. California roll. Because Morgan also didn't tell me what her favorite sushi roll was. And I had to pick one last night that I needed to save for the next day, and everything else was screaming my name. So I picked California roll. And then on top of that, what I wanted to say about ordering from Okinawa again, even though I just ordered from Okinawa, is that I would wake up every Saturday morning and I would eat Captain Crunch and watch Sailor Moon. And it was a routine for me. So in that way, in that repetitive way, we are repeating a restaurant. Okay? Okay. So I'm going to try this California roll. Actually, no, I'm going to try the dumpling first because that is technically an appetizer in the sauce that I didn't try last night. I did try a dumpling last night, but that's just because I wanted to try it at a different temperature. So it's not cheating. That sauce is really good. I think I've ordered from Goji before for an episode, but Goji is a Korean place and they are in Hoboken too. And we get dumplings from them and their sauce is like a little bit thicker than this. It's almost like syrupy. This is more my vibe where it's almost like an in-between soy sauce and like syrup. And I just really love it. Okay. And I also like veggie dumplings. I think I'm going to push for that next time instead of pork. Really good. Not sure how the dumpling would taste in the ginger dressing, so I'm not even going to try that because I feel like you guys would think that that's really ewy. But what I do is I always order the side of ginger dressing. And we order from Okinawa, and then I keep it in the fridge like the other pints because I'll finish 1/3 of the pint in one night, dipping my sushi in here, which is probably disgusting and a lot of mayo, but that is what I do. And I keep it and I like continue to put it on salads or dip other things in it. So, and I do wish I knew what Morgan's like favorite sushi and dumpling is, but I liked kind of interpreting our conversation and making this meal kind of like a tribute to that. And that California roll tastes nice and fresh. I love it. I love it. This is very good. This is a very good meal. Morgan, thank you for making me get it. I do also, before we sign off, want to try to get Trish to do kissy with me. So hang on. All right. Show kissy. Let's do kissy. Let's do kissy. Kissy? Okay. And cut. I really hope you enjoyed this like kind of unexpected episode. I know I did. I really like to think about like the visual interest of a voice actor, honestly, and everything that Morgan does. It's like very cool to me. Like I said in our interview, I would absolutely dress up like the characters I was portraying. I can't wait to see what Sloane looks like in the Goosebumps game. So Morgan, definitely send that in because we need to know. And yeah, voice acting, there's fashion in voice acting, everyone. That is what you need to remember. The other thing I will say that I'm not going to do on screen, but is the way I normally eat sushi, is I don't eat it in one bite. I kind of like tear it up and then like dip the different parts back in the sauce again, just to really, you don't want to see it. So bye. And okay, shit. I got some sauce on my hands and I hope I didn't just get it on my ass too and like on my outfit. Okay.